Hey, what is going on guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my opinion on the best junglers for Season 5, patch 5.1. Now, there's been quite a few changes this last patch to certain jungle items, which have made some junglers stronger in my opinion, and some junglers weaker, so my list is quite a bit different from last patch. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let's get right into it. So at the number 5 spot, I have Hecarim. Pros to Hecarim are he's got a super strong engage. He's got so much movement speed, which makes it nearly impossible for the enemies to counter it. He can just come in with his E, use his ultimate, and that makes him a super strong team fighter. The new Stalker's Blade works really well with his passive now because he gains bonus AD for the more movement speed he has, so when he gets that 20% bonus movement speed, he's going to be getting a lot of attack damage from that. He also has very strong level 6 ganks with his E and his ultimate, and he's got really crazy strong move speed like I said before, and he can also build tanky and still do quite a bit of damage. Cons to Hecarim are he does have some weaker early game clear speeds, and he is also pretty weak if he falls behind because he's an all-in champion, and he's also quite mana hungry in the early game. Next up on my list, I have Sejuani. So pros to Sejuani are she's got very strong CC with her ultimate, her Q, and her E. The jungle change is also really strong for Sejuani because she can pick up the Rangers Trailblazers in the early game to help her clear speeds out, but then come mid game or after you're done clearing the jungle and come team fight, she can swap that out for the Skirmisher Savers, so she's a really strong duelist now. She's also a very strong team fighter because of that CC, and she's got one of the strongest ultimates in the game. It's super long range, and if you can get it off on multiple targets in a team fight, then the chances of you winning that team fight are going to be very high. And she's also got mobility with her Q. Cons to Sejuani are she does have weaker early game clear speeds, and she is quite mana hungry as well. Next up on my list, I have Vi. Pros to Vi are she is a super strong team fighter. She's got great CC with her Q and her ultimate. She also has very strong early game ganks because of her Q, and she's got really pretty much foolproof level 6 ganks because her ultimate, it's not really hard to use, and if you can just go down bot lane, engage with your Q, and then use your ultimate on the enemy AD carry, you're almost guaranteed to pick up a kill. She's also got pretty solid clear speeds because of her W and her E, and she's a very strong duelist as well. Cons to Vi are she is an all-in champion, so she does require some communication. You don't just want to be ulting the back line and then having your team not follow up, so make sure you're using your pings and telling your team when you're going in. And she is also weak if she does fall behind because she's an all-in champion. Next up on my list, I have Jarvan. Pros to Jarvan are he can build tanky, or if he is doing well, then he can build damage as well. He's also got a very strong engage with his EQ combo followed up by his ultimate, and he's a very strong team fighter because of that. He's also got mobility with his EQ combo, and he's a very strong ganker as well because of all the CC and his ultimate. Cons to Jarvan are his EQ combo can be hard to land at times. If the enemy's like juking around and moving side to side, then it can be hard to place it in the right spot. And his ultimate can be useless against some champions. For example, Ezreal, Nidalee, any champions who have some sort of blink or gap closer who can get out of Jarvan's ultimate kind of defeat the purpose of him using his ultimate on them. So if the enemy team does pick someone like an Ezreal, or they have a team that's got an easy escape from your ultimate, then maybe picking Jarvan isn't the best idea in that situation. So number 1 on my list for patch 5.1 is Fiddlesticks. Pros to Fiddlesticks are he's got a game-changing ultimate. No matter if you're behind with Fiddlesticks, you always have a chance to come back because he's got great CC, and if you can just get a 5-man ultimate, or if you can just get like a ultimate on a high priority target in a team fight, then you're going to have a very good chance at winning the fight. He's also got some of the best clear speeds for a jungler in the game, and he can easily solo Dragon because of the Drain. He also counters movement speed engaged champions like Volibear, Udyr. He also kind of counters Hecarim because when they start running towards you, he can just use his fear and their engage is completely negated. Constant Fiddlesticks, he is quite mana hungry in the early game, so make sure that you're taking your blue buff. I would even recommend you to take the second blue buff, because without blue on Fiddlesticks, it's going to be very hard for you to clear the jungle because you are going to run low on mana, and he also doesn't have any mobility either. Some honorable mentions for this patch include Xin Zhao, Warwick, Shaco or Shaco, however you want to pronounce it, Lee Sin, Amumu, Rek'Sai, Wukong, and Pantheon. So Xin Zhao and Warwick are probably two of the easiest junglers on my list, so if you're new to the jungle, then I definitely recommend picking up one of those two. Shaco definitely relies on having a strong early game, and he snowballs pretty hard, but if you do fall behind with him, then he becomes pretty useless because he's very squishy and he's just going to get blown up pretty quickly in team fights, and he really doesn't have any good CC either, so you want to make sure that you're getting ganks off in the early game with Shaco and picking up some kills, because if you don't, then he is fairly useless. Lee Sin is more of a skilled champion. If you can land his Q, you can inset kick, and you can ward jump, then he's a pretty good pick, but if you can't do any of those three, then I wouldn't recommend picking him up because you're missing out on a lot of his kit. Amumu is probably the best team fighting jungler on the honorable mention, so if you're looking for a good team fight jungler, I definitely recommend picking up Amumu. Even though Rek'Sai got nerfed this last patch, I still think she's a pretty good pick. She's got her burrow, which gives her good mobility, and then that's really good for ganking as well. She can pull off some pretty good ganks. She can use her burrow and then follow that up with the W knockup, and she's also a very good split pusher because of her Q. Wukong is probably the second best teamfight jungler on this list, next to Amumu, so if you're looking for a good teamfighter, I definitely recommend picking up Wukong. And the reason why I don't have Pantheon on my top 5 is because the recent nerf that he got a few patches ago, where he can't solo Dragon in the early game, hurt him quite a bit, and also if he does fall behind, he's fairly useless. You really need to have a strong early game with Pantheon and snowball your lanes and end the game quickly, because he does fall off quite a bit late game, and I've found with playing him lately, I just haven't been able to have those strong early games, which makes him inconsistent. The champions on my top 5, I find even if I don't do too well and I don't pick up kills in the early game, I can still carry with them, but with Pantheon you need to get some kills in the early game or else he does fall behind and he does become pretty useless come late game. So that is all for the video, guys. If you enjoyed, then be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in my next video.